friends, welcome back to my kitchen. If you're new here, my name is Jen, and today I'm going to show you how to make 3 refreshing drinks for the summertime. We're going to start off by making some horchata today, and ideally you'd want to start soaking your rice overnight, but if you can get your rice soaked for at least 4 hours, that will be fine. So you're going to have a cup of rice that you have rinsed and then added about 4 cups of cold water to, and something that you can, allow to sit in the refrigerator. Like I said, this is better if you soak the rice overnight, but in a pinch, you can do it for about 4 hours. So I'm just going to add 2 whole cinnamon sticks right directly to this soaking water. And that is going to help to soften up the cinnamon sticks because I am going to add a little bit of the cinnamon stick when I am blending my horchata. That's totally optional, but for me, I like the flavor. So after either overnight or about 4 hours, I soaked mine for 4 hours. I'm just going to remove the cinnamon sticks here, and I'm going to add my water and my soaked rice directly to my blender. Now, I was blessed with a high-powered blender recently. If you do not have a, really high-powered blender, you can still do this. It's just going to take a little longer while you're blending it. So I'm just going to scrape my container, make sure I get all of that rice in there, because essentially what we're going to do is make rice milk. Now you will see here in just a second how soft these cinnamon sticks got while they were soaking in the water. I'm actually able to tear one of them up by hand. Relatively easy. They tear up a little bit like wet cardboard. And I'm going to just chuck that directly into the blender. Now I'm blending this on kind of medium speed, and you're going to want to let this go for about 4 minutes. You want to make sure that that rice and those cinnamon sticks are pulverized basically into a very thick, creamy mixture. The next thing we're going to do is strain this. Now I'm straining this directly into my pitcher. If you do not have a fine mesh strainer, you can use cheesecloth or butter muslin for this. Anything like that will work just fine. And if your strainer has bigger holes, you can even run this through twice if you feel the need to. But because this blender works so well, pretty much the bulk of the rice that didn't get blended and kind of turned into a paste stayed in the bottom of my blender. But I did go ahead and take my spatula and kind of run it around this just to make sure that I got all of this that I could out of that strainer. This happens to be my youngest daughter's favorite drink in the whole world. So I'm going to make this for her taste, but I will list the original recipe in the description box down below. So in the original recipe, it says to add a teaspoon or a half a teaspoon of vanilla. I added a glug. She likes a lot of vanilla in her horchata, so just add as much vanilla as you like. I'm also adding a 14 or 15 ounce can of sweetened condensed milk. And the original recipe that I'm linking also calls for a 12-ounce can of evaporated milk. I'm leaving the evaporated milk out. I am making this pitcher for her to take to her boyfriend's house, and I don't need like a gallon of horchata. Just this 40-ounce pitcher will be enough for her. So I'm only adding the evaporated milk or the sweetened condensed milk, excuse me, and I'll add a little less water to it here at the end. But I'm just going to go ahead and mix that all up with my whisk to make sure that I get all of that really sticky sweetened condensed milk off of the bottom. And I'm adding in about 2 cups of cold water. And ideally, this should be refrigerated. You can't leave this just sitting on the counter. This does need to go in the refrigerator. But because I'm pressed for time and my daughter is on standby waiting for this delicious horchata, I am just going to serve this to her in a glass with some crushed ice, and she absolutely loves this. Like when I say that this is her favorite drink, I mean she could probably drink this every day. So definitely give this a try and, alter the recipe to suit your own tastes. If you wanted to make this an adult version of a horchata, try making this with a splash of spiced rum in it. It's delicious. Totally optional, but fun at the same time. Now, moving on to drink number 2, we are going to make a pineapple slushie. Now, this could not possibly be any easier. All you're going to need for this is some 100% pineapple juice and some frozen pineapple chunks. Now, you can chop up a regular old pineapple and freeze the pieces yourself if you don't like to purchase the pre-frozen type, but I'm all about saving some time, so I got the pre-frozen pineapple chunks. And I'm going to pour out about 2 cups of these, give or take. It's kind of hard to measure like the big giant pieces, but I'm going to get as close to 2 cups as I can. Now, this recipe is supposed to make 2 8-ounce servings. I got pretty much right about that. If you wanted it to be a little runnier, I'm about to add 8 ounces of pineapple juice. If you want it thinner, you can add more pineapple juice. I prefer it to be really thick and slushy. In fact, you'll see here at the end that the texture of it kind of turns out like a Dole Whip. Now, if you wanted this to be creamier, more like a Dole Whip, you could add a little bit of sweetened condensed milk to it while you're blending it, or even a little whipped cream, just to add that sort of dairy element to it that's going to make it creamy. In the original recipe for this, she leaves a note and says that if you don't have frozen pineapple chunks or you don't want to wait for the pineapple to freeze, to just use some ice cubes with the pineapple juice and blend it up that way. I have not tried that, but if you do, just try it with the pineapple juice and the ice cubes. Come back and leave me a comment and let me know if it was still yummy. I imagine it might not be quite as thick as this, but it probably still has really good flavor and it'll work for you in a pinch if you don't have access to the pineapple. But you'll see here in just a second when I get done pulsing this that it is thick. We were having a little giggle because I was giving it the blizzard treatment and turning the whole blender cup over. I shook it even and it didn't come out. So when I went to pour it in this glass, I ended up having to use a spoon to kind of coax it in. And she had this with a boba straw just so that she could make sure that, she could get, because it's like a thick milkshake consistency. And again, if you wanted to make this more of an adult drink, it would be fantastic with a little Bacardi in it. You don't have to do that, but if you're having an adult summer get together and maybe you want to spike your drinks, that would be a fun way to do it. So I just served her up a big heaping glass of this and slapped her boba straw in there, and she loved it. She said it was more like a sorbet, sort of, both in flavor and texture. So I really hope that you'll give this one a try. If you like pineapple, this one is definitely a winner. Now, on to our last recipe for our summer drinks. This one is a watermelon agua fresca, and it is light and refreshing. And honestly, nothing screams summertime more than watermelon. So, watermelon is definitely our main character. So I have a seedless watermelon here, and I'm going to scoop out with my ice cream scoop about 2.5 cups of the flesh. Now, if you can't get a hold of a seedless watermelon, it's fine. It's just going to take you a little longer than, 5 minutes to whip this up because you're going to have to pick out the watermelon seeds. I'm definitely shocked at how juicy this grocery store watermelon is, but it is watermelon season, so it's kind of hard to go wrong at this point. You buy watermelons in the winter time and you're really risking getting a gnarly one, but this one was super sweet and juicy, so I made sure that I added that liquid from the watermelon into my blender as well. I don't want to lose out on any of that. Now I'm adding 1/4 cup of sugar. You can skip that if you like, if you don't want it to be as sweet. And I'm also going to add a couple teaspoons of lime juice. Now, if you have fresh limes, just add the juice of half of one of those limes. If you're doubling the recipe, obviously you can use the whole lime. And then all that's left for me to do here is add 4 cups of nice cold water to this blender cup. And I am going to pulse this until all of that watermelon flesh is blended up and this drink is nice and smooth. Now, when you put this in your refrigerator to, kind of cool off, it is going to separate a little bit, kind of like tomato juice would. The fibrous part will separate from the water. Just give it a really good shake or mix before you pour it, and it will be just fine. But because everybody was eager to try this, I just went ahead and added some ice to this glass, and they all really loved it. So I hope you give one of these 3 drinks a try, and if you do, leave me a comment and let me know which was your favorite. Until next time, friends, happy cooking.